Thank you, Raluca. And in the first part of my talk, I was rather negative, so I hope to cheer you up now a little more as I go back to the question, what would it take to reimagine health education? And a first step is indeed to consider its philosophical assumptions. So as explained by Megan, health in music, which we can label as occupational health in music, is shaped by the interplay of physical, mental, social, institutional, and cultural factors. From a philosophical perspective, occupational health in music can be redefined as a dynamic process, a mode of being and becoming in and through music that is physical, mental, relational, and continually negotiated within the lived realities and cultural context of tertiary music institutions. This understanding calls for rethinking the ways music institutions respond to health concerns in music. And let's begin, or let's go back to the scope of health education. So before we saw the emphasis of health education on body and mind and the risk for instrumentalization and individualization. So to avoid these issues, health education could complement the attention to the physical and mental aspect of playing with opportunities for deeper reflection. For instance, students could be invited to explore the relationship between Western musical traditions and health, the relationship between the environment in which they study and its influences on their health, and then the intersections between their health and musical activities. This broadened approach can lead to question dominant notions of musicianships that are rooted in technical perfection, competition, and fidelity to tradition, and to envision more sustainable careers at the intersection of expression, collaboration, experimentation, and well-being. From this broadened approach, health education in tertiary music institutions becomes a pedagogical practice that transcends a culture of coping and instead aims to support the development of critically informed and sustainable forms of musicianships. And now let's rethink the role of faculty and health professionals. We saw before that the authority of faculty and health professionals has traditionally existed within institutional silos. However, if health is redefined as a process that is physically, mentally, and socioculturally situated, the responsibility for health education can no longer rest with any single group. This redefinition calls for abandoning compartmentalized knowledge systems in favor of collaboration that are grounded in epistemic pluralism. But what is epistemic pluralism? Epistemic pluralism can be understood as the recognition that knowledge is distributed across different belief systems, each offering partial but valuable insight. This idea is helpful for health education because it provides a framework for rethinking education at the intersections of different actors and types of expertise. But importantly, epistemic pluralism is not synonymous with relativism. Relativism implies that all perspectives are equally valid, but epistemic pluralism calls for a commitment to valuing diverse sources of knowledge in light of their outcomes and coherence. So, for example, when divergent perspectives arise, epistemic pluralism promotes a critical examination, resisting the trap of anything goes relativism. So a shift toward epistemic pluralism has several implications, but today I just talk about the idea of promoting collaborative meaning-making, where faculty and health professionals work together to foster healthier learning environments. In this sense, health education becomes a shared responsibility, inviting music faculty and health professionals to contribute to a culture where artistry and health are interconnected dimensions of students' musical lives. And let's talk about students again. Music students enter their university training with personal needs that shape their relationship with music. They also bring diverse background that influence how they interpret values, norms, and practices. And such complexity underscores the need for a more student-centered approach to health, one that goes beyond treating students as passive recipients of health knowledge and position them as active participants. Indeed, students carry transformative potential as peer leaders and cultural agents. When supported by faculty and institutions, they can lead, for example, peer support circles and participate in the design of workshops that are grounded in their lived experiences. So when students are included as co-creators of health initiatives, health education becomes a shared practice of community building rather than a standalone educational offering. And lastly, to go beyond the idea of health education as a marketable tool, responses to music-specific health concerns must be woven into the fabric of the music institutions itself. This begins with treating occupational health in music as a common good that is necessary for students' flourishing. This view positions occupational health in music as central to students' musical engagement rather than a marginal concern. But this also reminds us that students bring their own understanding of a common good of occupational health in music. And this view also broadens the responsibility for occupational health in music as a common good, recognizing the role of music institutions. And to promote these visions, tertiary music institutions need to adopt approaches to occupational health in music that are grounded in justice and care. So debate in music education have long acknowledged that a commitment to justice can foster inclusivity in music learning environment. Within music institutions, justice, however, serves as an additional function. It offers a framework for transforming the very conditions under which students learn and work. And this has at least three implications. Viewed through this lens, institutions become responsible for addressing the structural conditions that undermine health, such as workload, rigid hierarchies, competitive climates, and a pervasive culture of silence around mental and physical health. But institutions also become responsible for validating diverse forms of musical excellence and give students the possibility to engage with pluralistic ways of knowing, thus valuing their diverse cultural and musical background. And institutions become responsible for validating diverse epistemologies of health. These include expanding the scope of curricular content to reflect students' diverse cultural background and understanding of health. So through a justice-oriented framework, tertiary music institutions can facilitate cultural transformation as an enduring commitment to health, rather than a performative display, a window dressing. At the core of this transformation lies an ethic of care. We can think of care as caring for and caring about. And when we transmit this concept from education to tertiary music institutions and health education, we can think of caring about as engaging with health discourses at the policy and cultural level, at the broader level. And caring for involves supporting students in everyday interactions, affirming diverse and healthy ways of engaging with music. This reorientation transforms music schools from sites of performance optimization into communities of care. So promoting occupational health in this way becomes a commitment to cultivating caring music environment. So to conclude, to redefine health education, we need to rethink its philosophical assumptions. This means to rethink health education as a pedagogical practice to support the development of informed and sustainable forms of musicianships. This means to rethink the role of faculty and health professionals to foster a learning environment where both health and artistry are supported and sustained. This means to involve students And lastly, this means to go beyond market-driven agendas and to ground health education in justice and care. So by rethinking the philosophical assumptions underlying health education, tertiary music institutions can redefine what it means to educate healthy music students. And thank you, and now I leave the floor to Nabil again.